So welcome everybody, and I'm handing over, I think, to Abdur Raouf. Abdur, Raouf, would you like to take the floor first?
Thank you so much, Peter, for facilitating this session, and thank you, the participant, for their time to know much about the Afghanistan. So it is our honor to have this presentation. I will share my screen.
Maybe I can pose one more question before Raouf is going on. I see some names, but I don't know everybody. Mel and MXFX8. Perhaps you can rename yourself and also show what organization you are working for. That's better for us to understand who we have in the room. So if you can rename yourself and also indicate perhaps what organization you are working for, that would be nice. And we have now 3 other people dropping in. Sorry, Raouf, the floor is yours. Please go on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we will start from the crisis in the country. So we had a displacement due to conflict, and during 2021, more than 570,000 people, they were displaced due to conflict. And our all displacement in the country, so it's reached to 5.5 million people. They are in state of displacement. This year also some of the people, the displaced people after the fall of the government, so they return to their place of origins, but they do not have enough means to restart or rebuild their lives. Also, some of the IDPs, they are still in the displacement form because they do not have enough resources, financial resources, to pay the transportation cost and to return to their place of origin. And in some IDPs also mentioned they do not have anything in their place of origin, so they cannot return back to their place of origin. Last year, so we received less than 60% of the annual precipitation, and we have a drought-like situation in the country. So this drought is like different from the drought in 2018, because in 2018, so it was more localized drought, but this year, so more some 25 provinces out of 34, they are badly affected by a drought. So more people has been affected due to this drought, and also based on the FuseNet information, so we can expect the similar weather in the upcoming winter. So again, we will have less precipitation, and then 2022 will also have a kind of drought. So we will have drought for 2 consecutive years in the country, and it will affect more people, because 60% of our people, they are engaged with agro-business, and most of this farmers, they were not able to cultivate. Also, the winter is coming very soon. Already we are in September, and in some of the provinces, the winter is starting in October, and the people do not have enough resources to protect themselves, their family members, especially the women and children, because of the conflict, the weak economy, and food insecurity. If we look to the other hand, so some of the development actors, they freeze their funds. And this freezing of, it was after fall of the government, when the Taliban take over, some of the development actors, they freeze their funds. And they do not have a kind of exact strategy for freezing these funds. So it's directly jeopardized the some of our sectors, like the health sector. So we do not have enough medical supplies, medical personnel on the ground, and it was said that 200 health clinic will be closed during first week of August, because they do not have enough resources. Also in the development sector, so the portfolio for Afghanistan, it was about 800 to $1 billion, and they were running different projects like health sector, education sector. Then we had the citizen charter project, we had AZ Core project, and they were mostly focusing on this vulnerable people. So all of this project had been stopped in the country. Also, there is migration. The people are fleeing from Afghanistan, and they are taking refuge to Pakistan and also to Iran. Then from Iran, so they are traveling to the European countries to take refuge because their lives, they are under threat, or they do not have enough economical resources to continue their life in the country. The information we received last year, and this information was not confirmed by the government during that time, but the information was released by World Bank that 64% of the population in Afghanistan, so they live under the poverty line. Their daily income is less than $2 per person. And we fear that with the current situation, so it will rise by 20% more. So if the immediate response has been not provided, so then 85 or 84% people will be living below poverty line in the country. Afghanistan still is a high-risk country for the COVID-19. We receive some 2 million doses of vaccine, but only 421,000 people has been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. We had a meeting with the public health 2 days ago, and they were saying that they have the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine in their store, but they do not have enough vaccinators. If they do not start this vaccination soon, so then this available vaccine will be also expire. The food security situation, because the conflict was started during harvest period, and also the economy, it is fully collapsed now. After 1 month when the Taliban take over, so we do not have seen any economical activity. So more people, they are food insecure. If you see the analyze, because we do not have information for the month of August, so we compare the food security situation in one of the provinces, the situation in March, and then the situation in July. So you can see during March 2021, so we had 23% people, they had acceptable food consumption score, and 47% they had borderline food consumption score, and only 29% they were poor food consumption score. During July, so we have like 23%. The red color, it's represent July month. So 23% they are borderline, and we have 77% food poor food consumption score. So it can also verified by the other food security indicators, like we check the livelihood coping strategy, reduced coping strategy. So they also confirm these figures. So we do not will go to detail more. Based on the UN appeal this week, so they were requested to assist more than 10 million people, and they requested more than $600 million. And thank for the some of the donors who pledged their amount for this critical time, the 4-month period during winter. But we have heard that some of the donors, they put conditions. If these conditions are met, so they will provide this funding to the country. These are the provinces with high purity provinces and low purity provinces. The red color, so they represent high purity provinces. So before that, so we had 3 kind of purity provinces: high purity provinces, medium purity provinces, and low purity provinces. Now we do not have any low purity provinces, so we have high and medium purity provinces, where the humanitarian assistance is required. If we look at to access and safety, so we do not have suicide attacks and bomb blasts. Previously, we had as a aid worker, so we were also in the risk of this suicide attacks and bomb blasts. But during this 1 month, only we have the one suicide attack. It was on Kabul airport. It has been reported. Since then, no suicide attack or bomb blast has been reported in the country. So it's a very good sign for the people. Also, the criminal activity has been reduced, so we do not have that much criminal activities in the country at the moment. The ground travel is possible to many places, because previously it was very difficult to have your ground travel when we are reaching to some of our target provinces. So we were using the air transportation to reach to these areas. Now it is possible, so we can quickly go to the any provinces where we want. Also, the new areas are accessible now. Previously, due to conflict or other reasons, so we had this accessible and not accessible area. Hard to reach area, now we do not have any hard to reach area, so we can go anywhere where the needs are there. Also, we have seen that the Taliban welcome and support the humanitarian aid efforts. To be honest, maybe they will be not like us, but at this moment they need us. So that's why they welcome the humanitarian support, because now they are also responsible for the protection of their civilians. So it can be done through the international community, so how they can protect their people. The challenges we are facing. So the new banking system, so it is the bottleneck for the aid agencies to pay or process their staff salaries, to resume their field activities, to assess the beneficiaries. Based on the new regulation, so if you have individual account, so you can withdraw $200 per week. If you have cooperative account, so all of the NGOs and financial service provider in the country, so they have their cooperative account, so they cannot withdraw a single penny, but they can transfer the money to the within the country to other cooperative account. And most of the supplier in the country, so they do not accept any bank transfer within the country. They do not accept bank checks, so they are only working on physical cash. If you are renting services, or if you are buying in-kind assistance, or if we are delivering the cash to the beneficiary, so at this moment, so it is not feasible because of this banking system. The resumption of activity, so the banking system is the bottleneck, not only for our cash intervention and also for our in-kind intervention. Those agencies who has the stock, available stock, so they're providing a kind of assistance, but their available stock was not for such kind of scenario, because their stock was so low based on the HRP, and the because in HRP we had 250,000 IDPs who has been projected that they will be displaced during 2021, but we are almost in double figure. The new NGO law is not yet released, because Taliban said they will release an NGO law, and all of the agencies should work on this NGO law. But the meantime, in a field level, so Taliban asked us to resume our activities and work on the previous NGO law. The another problem we are facing is the human capital leaving the country. So most of the people whose capacity has been built to run the system, to run the economy, and to run the country, so they are leaving the country. And what we have achieved during 20 days, so we will lost them when these human capital also left the country. Then, based on our conclusion, so if we look at to the humanitarian crisis, so only and only the people of Afghanistan, they are suffering, and they will suffer more if the international community do not intervene on time. Then also we have like a kind of protection issue in some of the areas. So the people, they are not able to entertain their full basic human right. And mostly women and children, so but they are like the victim of these two scenarios, the worsening humanitarian situation and the protection crisis. So I will hand over to my colleague, Muhammad Dawood from TDH. So he will provide some information on this protection issue in the country. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Raouf. Very insightful. And I would indeed suggest to keep your questions for clarification and further discussions for later. We continue with Daoud. If Daoud is ready. Are you ready, Daoud?
Yes, good morning to again to everybody. I will just make my presentation very short, but we'll see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, good morning to everybody. I'm just would like to mention like the current situation on the protection situation in the countries. As Mr. Raouf also put the pictures, the very broad pictures for the Afghanistan about the priority provinces with the low and mediums. I will just only focus on protection side, which provinces in the high priorities, which it means that the provinces that I mentioned here, the name, that currently TDH and also CODET have some kind of activity there, or maybe currently there we will have some activity, and then past also we implemented a lot of activity or program in that areas. West Herat in Farah is in the high priority. In Herat we have a project with the support of Caritas, and then we have in a joint venture with CODET. We implemented that project. In East Nangarhar in Lahman, which is the high priority for the protection. Up to end of this year, it means there is 1.5 million people in need of protection, which is the figure is out from the HRP, and then this was the figures that they put it to us. It means that currently 0.7 million already included in HRP. It means that out of these 1.5 million people, out of this 1.5 million, 0.7 million people are already included to be supported. And there is 0.8 million people still to consider to be supported up to end of this year. Prioritize intervention by partners, as you know that TDH is like child protection organization providing child protection in a lot of countries. We prioritize that, and then which sector is what kind of intervention they would like to do. We put in a child protection that emergency psychosocial and mental health support service should be provided to the beneficiaries. It means that if you are talking about to psychosocial and mental health support, it is not only for the children, but it is all for the whole community peoples. It means that we can include the adults as well, and then men and women as well there. Specialized case management needed to be provided to these children who are severe from the child protection cancer, or the children at the risk of the violence in the country, especially in that two areas that I have already mentioned. Children at risk of GBV, including child marriage, as Mr. Raouf also mentioned that the population living under poverty is like already up to 90%. Maybe the people might be willing to survive from their children, and then they might giving their children to marriage, which they are not coming to their own. It means that the early marriage or child marriage will be like in very high stage. Awareness session conducted to the people on protection to the wider community. We have a GBV. We have like intervention in GBV, life-saving health in GBV, activity, clinical management in rape for the those cases that was happening in rape, provision of dignity care to affected women and girls in new IDPs. The other is a big concern about the mine action because like the war have been finished, and then there is no any war in the countries according to the government announcement. But still there is a lot of concern about the mine which was already implemented by either previously Taliban or the government. That might be a very risk for the protection of the people. The HRP said that quick response team with survey and explosion ordnance, displace capacity, expanding mass media explosive ordnance risk education to reach new returnee and people in the newly accessible area with message on how to stay safe in the aftermath of conflict. it means that the IDP, as Mr. Rauf also mentioned, the IDP might go back to their original places, and there might be a lot of these explosive ordnance remain from the war, and then the protection of the life of the protection will be in danger. We need a lot of message to provide it to these peoples. Actually, challenges, the challenges that Mr. Rauf mentioned, it is also facing all the NGOs in the countries, like banking systems, lack of capacity, leaving the capacity. But still, there are some challenges that we may face during implementing the protection activity. GBV-related protection risk including child, early and forced marriage, domestic violence, and sexual violence, trafficking, prostitution in exchange sex for survival services. Child labor, which is a big concern in the country, especially in that area that they have the border between Pakistan and Iran. Herat provinces has the, Herat province have the border city with Iran, especially in Islam Qala, and also in Torkham border city that is like a border with Pakistan. There is a lot of child labor activity ongoing with the children. They are just crossing the items illegally to Pakistan, and then they might stock, and then they might have like a lot of violence on that. Discrimination among boys, girls in the most live affairs, food, education, clothing, and even love myself within the families. The discrimination among the family will be like a big challenges, because like most of the family here in the country would like to have the boys because they are somehow bringing some incomes to their find. This may be some challenges how you are going to go. Appropriate inclusion of children with disability into CPIE activity, this some changes. Insufficient budget for the protection sector. This was all challenges that we might be facing during the implementation of this kind of the project. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daoud, as well. Thank you both for this very insightful information you shared with us this morning, and a very relevant update, I think, for all of us. I'm just opening up the floor for questions. I have questions, but I'm sure you will have questions as well. I would like it if people can turn on the video, because then it's more like an open meeting and we know one another. And perhaps when you take the floor, maybe you can say for what organization you work, and then pose your question or your comment. I'm just going to open it up because I can imagine there are many questions. Please, if you have a question, you can raise your hand in the chat, or you can just start and take the floor. I think that's okay. It's a very small group we have this morning. If nothing happens, I have some questions, but I would love to give the floor to our guests first. If nobody is coming, I have one question. I have two questions. Maybe I just kick off. The others will come immediately. I heard Raouf telling there is a new NGO law coming, but we don't know it yet. Do you perhaps have already any indications in what directions it might change? And the other one was, I think it was also Raouf who mentioned it, but I'm sure Daoud must have also to deal with the same issue. Donors are posing conditions to the aid you can deliver. I can imagine it, but who is paying the price? So I'm just curious, what are the results of donors posing conditions on aid? That were my two questions. Maybe we can start with those, and I'm sure other people have questions as well after that. Who would like to come first? Raouf or Daoud?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. To your question on the NGO laws, so it will be on which directions. When the UN appeal and the donor has pledged their commitment, there was a statement coming from Taliban as well, and it was a written statement. In the written statement, so they have mentioned that they will remove the other barriers they were faced by the NGOs during the previous government. So they are aware of some of the barriers, and I think they will allow us to provide us this principal humanitarian action in the country. We had some of the discussion with them regarding the women participation, and in some of the area already they accept that, yeah, without women, so we cannot continue and we cannot deliver the aid, because half of our population, it is female, and how we can access our female beneficiaries, so we will require the female staff on the ground to deliver the assistance. Also, we have seen that the Taliban also announced for the health sector that all of the male and female, they should come to the health sector and they have to resume their activities. So it's mean also the higher education. So there are some restrictions, but I think it's still manageable, because if they are saying that they have to cover their bodies based on the Islamic rule and regulation, so I think it will be not that much issue for most of the female, but some of the female, they will also say, no, we cannot accept this kind of thing. So still there is that we can say that, yeah, if the new NGO law comes, so we will see what is there. Also, we have a very, we are in well position because we have different cluster working group who are directly negotiating with Taliban, and we clearly inform that what are the key humanitarian principle and how we can work. If there is anything, so again, we can negotiate with Taliban that this is against the humanitarian law and we cannot accept this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Ut, could you elaborate on who's paying the price for the conditions the donors pose, perhaps?
Actually, this was it means that in that case, the people, the vulnerable, the people who are need will be face the problems if they are putting, which is a very clear message to the people also, that if they are put this restriction, these things on the condition, it means that the government, which we call it like Taliban government, they're not facing any problem. The problem is facing the people who are in need. And especially this morning, we had a meeting in OCT meeting in Kabul provinces. This issue was raised with the Taliban because there was some lead peoples, and this issue was raised regarding the working of the woman. And this person, in charge person, clearly mentioned that also the issue of rule of the law for international NGOs. It was also raised the question from them that how it is for. They said that don't worry, it will be released and it will be according to the demand of the donors and also demand of the peoples. And I also mentioned to them, like especially I mentioned that, also they mentioned that there will be some restriction, like woman should be in a hijab, in these things. And some of the NGO clearly mentioned, especially in Herat, that we implemented the project. The project that we implemented in Nangarhar, all of our female staff are using the burqa or using the hijab while they're traveling, while they're providing the activity. This was something. I think there is, if there is this restriction, definitely the people who are in need will be facing a lot of the problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I see two people who are raising their hands, Willem van Beurstede and Inge Leuverink. Willem, you were first, so please take the floor. Maybe you can switch on your camera, and also, yeah, you're working for ZOA, but maybe your function within ZOA.
Yeah, good morning. I work for the DRT department from ZOA, so to be traveling a lot to countries like Afghanistan. I just have two questions actually. Do most partners in Afghanistan already resume the activities? Can you do activities even seeing the difficulties getting money, or it's very limited activities, or it's just now to look after the staff safety and seeing what's happened with the staff? So what about activities in the field, and if it's possible to work at the moment? And the second question is, do they see already flows of displaced people? I mean, I heard Mr. Rao saying that there were flows of people going to Pakistan and Iran, but is there already, are there already people going over the border, or are the borders closed at the moment?
Thank you, Willem. Shall we collect the questions from Inge as well? Then we can make another. Is that? I think it's okay because it's a very concrete questions. Inge, can you share your question as well?
Yes. Okay. I think it's nicely in addition to what Willem asked. Hi, I'm Inge. I work for Coordinate Humanitarian team. My question would be, can you elaborate a little bit, Rauf, on the differences between the international and the local organizations in Afghanistan in terms of the risk they are facing, the space they have to operate, that kind of things? What can you see currently especially for the position of the local organizations?
Thank you so much, Inge. I think we're going to do the same round as previous time. First, Mr. Raouf, and then Mr. Daoud. Is that okay? So, can you work? Any information
Yes.
about displaced persons and the difference between international NGOs and local organizations? Who can work better? Where can they work? Please, Raouf, go first.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I will answer the first question about resumption of activity by some of the partners. Some of the partners who have their stock in the country in kind stock, so they have resumed their activity and they deliver the aid to different organizations. The banking system is the bottleneck for starting up the activities, but still there is alternative options available, and some of the organizations already utilize this alternative options because they have sent the cash or money within the country through Hawala dealer. Yeah, we know that Hawala is illegal in other country, but still it is a legal business in our country, and the Hawala dealer, they receive the license from the government. So this is the second option, and some of the NGOs, so they are looking forward to procure some of the in-kind assistance in neighboring country. Already they have ordered to some of the suppliers in Pakistan to procure the winterization assistance, and the supplier also confirmed that they will deliver this assistance to, within the in Kabul in the country to the organization. But again, still we are discussing in different working groups, including the logistic working group. So if there is like on the border, if we have some custom duty like a restriction, then how it can be dealt. I think it will be not bigger issue for some of the organization, because we are working on the different options of how we can deliver the assistance in the country. So then for the second question, if Dawood can answer the flow of the people from Afghanistan.
Yes, one thing more that I would like to also mention, the resuming activity. TDH was somehow resumed their activity in Jalalabad, and currently our only male staff, because the females still did not get the approval to the permission to work. Our male social worker is conducting some kind of assessment in some districts, and then probably they are just working normally. Regarding the flow of the people, definitely the border is closed for the entering of the people. As you know that Afghanistan has a long border between within Pakistan and Iran. Most of the people, or most of these refugee or displaced people, are fleeing to Iran by the illegal way, not from the legal way. They are crossing some mountain, and there is a lot of trafficking, like smugglers taking the family, and then they cross the border on there. But still, all the border, like the legal border, are closed. But as I mentioned, that like a lot of long border with these two countries, the flow, or they're just going the people from the illegal way to they will enter to Iran and Pakistan.
And then still, I think also, are you any more? Please continue.
No, actually, I'm just like flowing of these people, like the people who are crossing the Iran borders. They are like mostly those people. They are going to Iran and also to Pakistan to do some labor work there, because the work opportunity in the country is very at the 0 point. It means there is no. These people are going to Iran to find some kind of income and do some labor work. And of course, when Rauf said that if there is some people, they have some kind of some money with themselves, they will cross to Turkey, and then from Turkey to European countries as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you both. I think still there's the question of Inge. How about the working space for local NGOs versus the international NGOs? And I can think there's a difference, and then we go to the other question. But first, the difference between the local and the internationals.
Yeah, I will answer this question. The operation in the current scenario, the operation by the local and for the international one. So it is, to be honest, it's totally different, because for the local, they take decision in the country. For the international organization, so we have to convince at our headquarters. And usually it took time because most of the local partners, the local NGOs, so they have resumed their activities. the same way, but they face the similar problem, like the banking system, the money is not there. They do not have like access to new funding, so it is the key issue to them. But their operation has been started because the decision was took locally, and we are convincing our headquarters, to be honest, to resume our activities. And for some of the countries, so based on their policy, because one of their policies wait and see. So some of the INGOs, they have not yet started their activity, but most of the local partners, so they have also, already started their activities. And if we look at to the risk level, so we are at the same risk level, and both the local partner and the international NGOs, so we are participating in different working groups, and we are raising our voices together, because we have one platform for all of the local NGOs and international NGO, and we raise our voices there.
Thank you, Raouf. I think there's a new question from Sabra Bano, not a member of the Dutch Relief Alliance or KUNO, but I'm very, very glad you're with us. Perhaps you can introduce yourself and your organization a little bit for us, yes?
Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you very much for allowing me to have this session attended. I'm privileged. I'm from Gender Concerns International, an organization, Dutch-based organization, has worked in Afghanistan since the first Dutch action plan, and we did regional conference with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs already 2008, 2009, and since then we are working with Afghan women for international lobby and advocacy, but we also work in MENA region and other countries. With the recent, and we are a registered organization in Afghanistan. We had also pleasure to work with CODATE and Oxfam with a joint project funded by MFA. Recently, we have been involved in evacuating of our staff and partners, and we have only our country coordinator in. We are waiting for others. They are in the queue. I'm grateful for the contribution for Raouf and Daoud that you have made now to this this briefing. By hearing you, it seems life is normal, back to normal in Afghanistan. Is it so? If it is even back to normal, it is for half of you, as women are not included in participating. You're also saying, and which is very good, I believe in our policy is no matter right or wrong or left or center, government is in power, women's rights have to be fought. So in a way, we are ready to talk to Taliban if it is necessary. So it is a good strategy to find accesses to create our own space. And I know that this bigger alliance of NGOs, how active you are actually and sincere to really create a space for your women counterpart. I think this is very critical. Women in Afghanistan need help from our male colleagues more than before. What I'm hearing from our people, but most of them are also on a list being evacuated. So we are hearing that life is very difficult, and you give a positive side. Do you really think that Taliban would allow? They are more compromising, and NGOs, and especially international NGO, should try to find ways to talk to them. And what role our local partners could play bridging that gap? That is my question. Thank you.
Sabra, thank you very much. Very relevant question in this difficult situation. Please, Raouf, Daoud, what opportunities do you see, and what lines are there to open up this kind of discussions with the new government, with Taliban?
So I will only answer about our stand on the participation of women, because 50% of our population, they are female. If we do not have a female in our operation, so then we will be not able to assess these female on the ground. So as a humanitarian activist, so the inclusion or participation of female, it is must for us. Also, CORDIT, we have introduced the gender mainstreaming or JBV focal point for 2 clusters. And she is working closely with the clusters to how the partners can mainstream the gender in their project or activities on the ground. And she left the country, but we are still committed. So we will be replace her with a new gender and GBV focal point for cluster, and then how we can mainstream the gender in our activities. So only I can then the more detail can be provided by Dawood, because he's more the protection experts regarding the women participation and their inclusion.
Thank you, Raouf. Dawood, what can you add to this?
Actually, thank you very much for our Sabira. She is she up a very good question. Definitely one thing that I would like to add, we are not like in a current situation, we are not half of half, because like there is 2 sectors, there is in 2 sectors that the woman, our female colleagues were allowed to work. It means that at least we are a little, they are like somehow take part in the implementation of the health sector. They are totally allowed to work. There is no any problem with them. And of course, education. For the how we are active in this case, that to include the women in our activity, like up to now, from the takeover of the Taliban up to now, we only resume a very small part of our activity. And in our office, it was discussed up to where like TDH is not starting their activity unless there is a clear pictures, there is a clear permission from the Taliban government to allow the woman. This was a voice to our all co-workers, especially women, girls, that until they did not give us the permission, we will not resume our activity in any part of the countries. Only, as I mentioned, the small part, but there is assessment needed because of the next project, we send only a female colleagues there. And then this was one thing that we are still with our female colleagues, and then we will resume. This morning when I went, when I discussed with the Taliban, they said that, again, I will mention that they said that we are not against the woman to work in any institutions. We are allowed them, but still there is some time needed to create the space for them, to create some law for them, to create law only not for the woman, but it's overall. And from the speech of the high authority of the Taliban, we are sure that in very next future, they will allow the woman to work. This is one thing. The other thing is the letter which was issued from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taliban to the council of this meeting, which was like on Monday, on 15 or on 13. The first point that he arise and also promised to the donors community that we are allowing the women and men and women to work independently in the countries. It means that this is something in the ground. But from the past experience that they have the government in from 1996 up to 2001, if somebody still remember, because I was the person that I worked with NGOs on that time, and I have the experience on that times, you see, they only allowed the woman to work in the health sector, but now currently they allowed the education institution also to work. They get the permission to the private university to start their teaching with the female staff. but with some condition. And then to compare current situation with the past experience, I think there is a big improvement in their structures. And to see these things, I'm sure they are allowing the women to work. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both again. I see another question from Marlies. I will go to Marlies in a minute, and I will read out the question of Margriet in the chat. Raouf mentioned many times that the banking system is not working, and I can imagine perhaps why, but I can imagine many reasons. So the question of Margriet is very concrete. Why is it not working? And the other question is from Marlies. Marlies, can you please also put on your video so we can see you and explain, you're from Free Press Unlimited. What is your role within Free Press Unlimited?
That's right. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, but it's not too loud. But I can put on my...
I have some technical problems, so I'm trying this way. And also, unfortunately, I cannot turn on the video. I'm so sorry. I am indeed at Free Press Unlimited. I'm a policy and advocacy intern here. And I actually also had a question with regards to the banking system, because I hear it is quite the bottleneck for the activities there. I was wondering, how do you foresee this changing in the future, or is there anything that you expect the Taliban will still take action on in that regard?
Very clear questions. Thank you, Marlies, and thank you, Margriet. Why is this banking system not working, and will it change soon?
Yeah, after the collapse or takeover by Taliban, so most of the investor and those who have the money in their bank accounts, so they were trying to pull out their money from the country. And even we have seen this kind of practices a day ago from the collapse of the government or takeover of the Taliban, and a week ago. So most of the people, they were withdrawing the money from the country. So this was the big issue, but this ban is temporary. It will be not forever, because if you are running the economy of the country, for the economy of the country, so this condition cannot work. In each discussion with Taliban, so two main questions has been raised. One is the women participation. These questions are from the humanitarian community, the women participation, and when they can resume the back activity. So they said that, oh, this ban is temporary. When we are back to normal, then we can remove this ban from the banking system, then you can withdraw the money. But at least they ask us to wait for some time or use alternatives to continue your operations.
Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions, and I think we have 10 minutes left, but we can leave early, of course. There's one question that came to my mind, but we didn't prepare it. I'm sorry, Margriet. If you don't want to answer, please don't answer. But if I'm informed correctly, you were asked by the European Parliament last week to inform them about the situation in Afghanistan. I just was wondering, what are the concerns in Brussels related to Afghanistan, and could it influence perhaps the position of ECHO or other big donors when they are looking to Afghanistan, and you're talking about women's rights and children's position? Can you say a little bit about it? What are the concerns living over there, and how it might be influencing the donors' position? I'm sorry, we didn't. If I'm putting
no, it's okay. I do want to make a correction. Well, it was actually Raouf who was explaining the situation to start with, but that's fine. And we spoke with, well, it was the Greens who organized this in anticipation of the resolution within the European Parliament, because I think that one is in preparations and will be issued soon to raise all those questions. What we basically have been discussing there is that we would like to make sure that humanitarian assistance can be provided. Sure, we do that in a principled way, but also in a pragmatic way, because otherwise it will be at the expense of 30 million people as needs are rising. And we also urged to the international community, but mainly the donors, the development donors, to continue funding the health and education services, because if they collapse, then I don't know, but then I think we're heading for a big disaster if that is not happening. as Raouf was already explaining, health facilities are closing. And again, it's women and children who make use of those services and will be, are disadvantaged because of their age and their gender. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Margriet. Thank you so much. I do not see any further questions. I would like to give Raouf and Daoud the opportunity to give some finishing remarks, but then I think that's to finish this meeting. I have learned a lot, but perhaps Raouf, Daoud, you have some remarks for us, questions for us, or a final thing you want to give us with us this morning?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Peter and KUNO, for facilitating this session. And I think this kind of session can help the affected countries, the people there, and also those other stakeholders. Like we have people in the Netherlands who has direct or indirect connection with the people, or either they're supporting some of the people to their fund. So we thank you so much for facilitating, and the other participant for allocating their time for this kind of session. One of my final remarks will be, we have mentioned it several times. So the people of Afghanistan, they are in need. And if the needs are not provided to them, so they will suffer a lot. And it will have consequences on not on in Afghanistan, on neighboring countries, and also on other countries, which we have seen in 1990s when Afghanistan was leave alone. So what happened? So I think the international community should not repeat such action again, and they have to focus on Afghanistan, and they have to full support the people of Afghanistan to be out of this dilemma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Daoud?
Actually, my remark is the same that as Raouf already mentioned, but I will also thank you, Peter, and also KUNO to facilitate this meeting. It was very useful for us, and then I hope that the reality which is in the ground, it was well explained to the participants. And the last remark again, I would request all the countries to support these people of the country, which is more than half of the people are already 90% people are living under the poverty, to support them to be take out of these difficult times. Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much. I see Willem van Burgstede has we call it a nabrander, an afterburner, I think in Dutch. What is your final question for Willem, or remark?
My question was actually, there's a lot of money coming available for Afghanistan. So people are preparing proposals, but will it be very much like continuing the current activities, or bridging the gaps, or are there also new needs identified?
Yeah, based on the ground reality, even it was mentioned during the UN appeal. So the people, their needs are multi-sectoral. They need every kind of support because their different sector has been badly affected. They lost their jobs, they are food insecure, they also lost their shelters. Based on the information that came yesterday from Orozgan, because Orozgan one of the PRT for Dutch, so 5,000 houses has been damaged due to active fighting. So the people, they lost their livelihood, they lost their shelter, they are food insecure, they do not have access to basic services. So there is multi-sectoral needs. And even during the UN appeal, so the UN asked the donor to be flexible based on the ground reality, so then we can address the different need or most pressing need of the people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Daoud, anything to add, or is this, I think it's beautiful like this.
No, I think it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I really would like to thank you for your very rich introductions and all the extra information you gave during the question rounds. I really want to applaud for you. And
thank
also
you so
for
much.
your position over there. I'm really proud on you.
Thank you so much.
Keep on the good work. Margriet, thank you so much for supporting me in this. And